Hey there, guys, and welcome back to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 75. We are available on anchor.fm/Travis Damian podcast, along with Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. Guys, like to ask us any questions, you can leave a voice message at the anchor link or in the YouTube comments section. Today, we're going to be talking about general gaming news, including Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Circuit and Activision literally being on fire. Then we'll talk about our recent activities, including Halo Infinite and anime/manga. Next, our thoughts on Arcane Season 1. Afterwards, our thoughts on the first two episodes of Hawkeye. Lastly, the second trailer for Spider-Man No Way Home. So, first, we're going to talk about the Dragon Ball Day by Daylight sort of game. The Breakers is what it's called. This definitely, I don't think anyone was really surprised, or everyone was surprised by this 100%. I feel like no one was like asking for a game like this, but I feel like, you know, when it comes to anime games, Dragon Ball Z tends to branch out into like literally everything because it's Dragon Ball. And for a game like this where, you know, it's Dead by Daylight or like Friday the 13th with these Dragon Ball villains and you're playing as like a human or whatever, it can be fun. It can be interesting. But my problem, or what I think the problem with a lot of these games, is that they have a hard time retaining like player base, because like I used to play Friday the 13th a lot just because it was fun and it was janky, and because of that jankiness it made it a lot more fun. But you know, we obviously just stopped playing it for a while, me and Louis. But you know, with a game like this, it can work, but I feel like people that play in the beta, they might not buy into the full game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, did they say it was gonna be like a full like price game? Actually, I have no idea, because if it is, then that shit's like dead on arrival, right? Like I kind of feel like it has to be either like free to play or like $20 like max, because like even looking at it, it kind of looks like just like a Xenoverse mod. Mm-hmm. Like it's a good idea, and I think Dragon Ball has the has the power, I guess, to do whatever it really wants to at this point. Which I'm glad. I think more anime series should do that instead of just being like arena fighters every single time. Like it's cool to see Dragon Ball always do like different things. But yeah, it still could be janky as hell. I mean, I don't think we really have a great example of what do you call them? Asymmetrical like horror games like this, like Evolve, Dead by Daylight, and the Friday the 13th game. Like they're all fun, but they are all really broken and like kind of unbalanced and stuff. I guess that's kind of the appeal. But this game is probably just gonna be another like game on that list. Like I don't see it like breaking the mold or whatever. But I guess it's a cool idea, like to just play as like the average like Dragon Ball citizen running away from like Cell. Like I think that's a pretty neat idea. Yeah, but like I said before, if it's not like a free to play game, or at least a cheaper game, I feel like no one's really gonna buy into it, especially because these player bases die out really fast, like you said. So
yeah, and it looks like, I mean, I didn't watch the full 11-minute video, but it looks like you'll be able to like get items and like skills that'll turn you into like Goku and Vegeta and shit. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. So like, I guess that's the way to like defeat Cell or whoever, because, you know, like in Friday the 13th, it was like really complicated. You had to like, someone had to die, someone had to be reborn as what's his name, and then you had to like get Jason's mom's head and like all of this other stuff to like kill Jason. And like sometimes when that would happen, Jason would just straight up quit because he's like, ah, shit, I fucking took too long to like kill everyone. But you know, I feel like with a mechanic like that, it can be fun. If everyone has the ability to turn into like different Z fighters and things like that, that could be interesting. But obviously, you know, how the game plays out, I'm sure the beta is going to be like a lot of what hinders on the balance of the game. And depending on how much information Bandai Namco and Dips get from the beta, how the game's going to be balanced at launch is really going to hinder on that. But, you know, I'm sure Dragon Ball fans are going to play this in one way or another. I might try it out. I'm not sure, depending on if it's a priced game or a free-to-play game. I feel like a free-to-play game, everyone's going to give it a shot, like, no matter what. And if a streamer gets their hands on this and they're like, yeah, you know, like, this is pretty fun, and then, like, they get their streamer friends on this, like, it could definitely pop off in some way for, like, a month or two.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it all depends on the pricing. Like, I would definitely play it if it was like cheap, or if it was free. Then like, yeah, I don't mind giving it a shot, because it's such a dumb concept, but like it seems really fun, so I wouldn't mind giving it a shot. And yeah, hopefully, just like I feel like always the problem with these games too is that I feel like playing as the monster is usually a little more fun, because like playing as a survivor or whatever is always like you can only really run around and do like little objectives to like just get out of there.
Yeah.
And usually the single player has more fun. I feel like. So hopefully they can make like the actual like survivors feel pretty fun to play as well. But I guess we'll have to see how this pans out, and if the beta, like maybe if we could get a thing on the beta, we could talk about it. But I don't know how like exclusive it's gonna be. Probably not really. It's probably just gonna be that anyone can play it. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how this pans out for like I guess like the Xenoverse Dragon Ball like video game stuff. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. And like you can summon Shenron and stuff like that is what I'm watching
cool.
here. Yeah, and my thing with Friday the 13th is that I actually like playing as the civilian just because like for one thing playing as Jason was so hard because everyone wanted to play Jason, but on top of that, you know, like playing as the I guess civilians or like the kids just like working together with like other random people was a little fun in a way just because, you know, I'm not by myself and I'm not trying to, you know, terrorize these other players or whatever. But that's just me. I'm sure that I'm in the minority in that, but yeah, maybe this game will do well, maybe not. We're just gonna have to wait and see because, you know, the sort of Dead by Daylight sort of game genre is definitely dying out at this point.
Yeah, you don't see it as much anymore. Like I think the Friday the 13th game was like kind of like the last one because Dead by Daylight came out before that, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Evolved, or maybe Evolved was the last one. I can't really remember, but yeah, they are starting to die out. But you know what isn't starting to die out? Platform fighters apparently. So Warner Brothers, this was actually leaked a while ago.
Yes,
MultiVersus platform fighter. So we got more details, show a trailer, and it's gonna be a free-to-play platform fighter, which we have never seen before. I don't think. Like, no, just kidding. Brawlhalla exists. Brawlhalla is like one of the first ones of that, and it seems to be following a similar format where, you know, you can buy skins and it's probably gonna be battle passes and stuff. You know, all that free-to-play stuff that we're kind of used to at this point. But it's gonna be using all of the Warner Brothers properties. So you have like a lot of Cartoon Network characters like Finn and Jake and Steven and Garnet. You have like Shaggy who goes like Ultra Instinct. You have all the DC stuff, probably some like Mortal Kombat people that could get in there too, but yeah, like Game of Thrones characters. Like it's pretty insane. And for what they've shown, it looks like it's gonna be more focused on 2v2 gameplay, which is pretty unique for a platform fighter. You know, most of them are, you know, just single 1v1s most of the time. You know, obviously there's like doubles and stuff in Smash, but it's not as like the main like thing about that game. This game's gonna be more balanced around team play. So maybe some characters like Steven like is more about shielding like his like partner. So he seems to be more of like a support character, which I think is actually pretty cool. I don't know how well that's gonna turn out. I mean, probably well because you know people play Smash and doubles all the time and love that. So with a game built around it, I'm pretty sure that's gonna be fun for like a lot of people. And yeah, from what I've seen, I actually kind of like the art style. I think they did a good job sort of like making everyone fit like the art style, because you know you have cartoon characters and then you have like real people, and they made those real people into like just like cartoon versions of themselves. Like the DC characters look good because, you know, there's already like cartoon versions of them, but people like Arya Stark, like they made her into like a cartoon. I'm like, okay, that looks pretty okay. And yeah, I think overall it does look really nice. You know, they have voice acting, which I think is a lot, you know, something people miss from the Nicktoons one, that there's like no voice acting at all. So when you hit someone, it's just silence. This game seems to have brought all the voice actors and stuff. And yeah, it looked pretty good. It looked a lot better than I thought it was going to look. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. We knew that this was real when it got leaked because HBox got a copyright strike on his YouTube channel. I was like, oh shit. But yeah, I mean, a free-to-play licensed platform fighter, that is kind of crazy. And my favorite thing about this was seeing all of the memes on Twitter for this, because it's like, oh man, Batman has to kill, and like Steven has to like actually win a fight and not like talk his way out of it and shit like that.
Yeah.
So, you know, like that was definitely the most fun part for me. But just watching this game and how it plays out, it looks like it can be a lot of fun. But we've already seen what happened with Nicktoons, is that like it's already like slowly died out just because the online isn't as great as people thought it was, I think. And, you know, just like people are just going back to Smash Brothers or whatever, you know. And with this game in particular, you know, it is definitely having a lot going on here just because it is Warner Brothers, not just like, you know, DC characters. You got the Cartoon Network properties, etc. So seeing all of that play out, I think, can be really fun. And the emphasis on 2v2 is definitely a lot more interesting because, you know, most platform fighters, like you said, really do focus on the 1v1 aspect. So seeing that this one is very much focused on that 2v2 sort of thing can be a lot more fun, I think. And the fact that it's free to play, I think that literally everyone's going to try this out in one way or another. So Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to try it out myself just because, I've tried most of the platform fighters, Rivals of Aether, Nicktoons. I haven't tried any of the other ones, but I think that this one could definitely garner an audience. And, if they care about the online and care about the players, I think that this can do well for maybe a year, I feel. I'm being optimistic here because Smash Brothers is Smash Brothers at the end of the day. So when you try to get into that sort of platform fighter slice of pie, you kind of have to be very consistent and be very willing to know that, hey, like we're competing against fucking Nintendo over here. So if you keep supporting the game and keep it going, I think that it can do well, especially because it does have strong properties with DC characters and Cartoon Network properties.
Yeah, I think it also just has a bigger variety of characters because like you said in Nicktoons, it's just Nicktoons and you can't there's only so many you could pull from. In this one you could get really dumb matchups Shaggy versus Batman, that's, I feel like that's kind of what these platform fighters have to hinge on now. It's you have good gameplay and stuff, but the thing that really draws people in is those dumb matchups here's Sora versus Mario, you know what I mean? That gets people excited. So I think this game has that going for it. Hopefully just nail the gameplay. And most of the online, I think the online is obviously a big aspect of it. Since most of these games have pretty bad online, I think the only one that has pretty decent online is Rivals of Aether, and I think that's it. So if they can really nail the online, I think they got something going here. And it might be enough to pull some Smash people. Probably not, but who knows? It's always good for the environment. Not like Nintendo really cares. They'll probably just make another Smash game with shitty online and no one would care. But it's always nice to have competition,
Definitely. And speaking of, I believe the same day Warner Brothers announced their multiverse, Nintendo announced a partnership with Panda Global, and they are doing a official Super Smash Brothers circuit for Ultimate and Melee for North America. So I think that's crazy. It's going to come next year in 2022. We don't have a lot of details yet other than the fact that this is an official sort of fighting game circuit for Smash Brothers. And the fact that Melee's a part of it is kind of crazy just because, if you know the history of Melee and Nintendo, they've been very much not supportive of the community, and a lot of the players within the Melee community do feel that a lot more heavily than we do. So it is interesting to see that, they were like, hey, I guess, Melee can be a part of this, official circuit that they are partnering with the creators of the game, Nintendo, So I think that the fact that Melee is a part of it is crazy enough as is, but the fact that there's a official circuit for this game that they've been, not very much keen on having a competitive scene around it, a esports scene, and now that we're finally getting a official one with short series events and cash prizes, this is going to be great. I think that this is going to be a lot of fun because with the sort of environment that Smash Brothers is in right now, it's pretty much just about a bunch of major tournaments and locals and some I guess minor tournaments as well. So having a official circuit where pretty much everyone's gonna be competing in to either get points or however the way that they're gonna format it, I think that this can be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Just having Melee there is insane for a Nintendo official thing, I guess, at this point. I guess Nintendo doesn't really care at this point, but it's kind of weird because they always we've seen them in the past few years, not even that long ago. Emulation obviously is a big deal, and they always take that down. They never really want to acknowledge Melee as a thing because they want buy the new thing or just don't pay attention to that. So it's kind of weird that they had a change of heart and just be okay, Melee could be in this official Nintendo tournament now. I don't know what changed. I don't know why they decided to do that, but I mean it's great for Melee players, because I feel I haven't really seen Melee too much in the spotlight in a bit. I feel like I've just been seeing a lot more Ultimate stuff. I haven't really been following it too much, to be honest, but it is nice to see Melee get a big spot again, because it wasn't an Evo 2 years ago, right? Because it didn't do one for 2020, right? It was 2019.
Yeah,
I don't think Melee was there.
The last Evo was when Leffen won, I believe. So
okay. Yeah,
but yeah, go on.
It's just been a bit, and it's gonna be nice to see Melee again. Again, I'm not the biggest fan. It's fun to watch and stuff, but I do all the amount of characters in Ultimates. It's kind of fun to watch because Melee, I feel everybody watched everything I've seen of it. Like I'm like, oh, look, it's a fox. But it's still really cool. Like this still doesn't really like, you know, I don't want that to like take away from this, because this is a really cool thing that Nintendo's, I guess, allowing happening now.
Yeah, I mean, there is some speculation about how this all came to be. Some people think that now that Sakurai's not touching Smash Brothers, maybe that's why. Maybe Sakurai was like low key, you know, suppressing Melee and all of this other stuff. Maybe it's because, you know, it's a partnership with Panda Global, and they were like, hey, you know, like if you put Melee in here, like I think that it would be like really, really good. But you know, we don't exactly know the details of it, obviously, because, you know, there's all like behind the scenes speculation and all this other stuff. But, you know, having a official circuit for Smash Brothers, for any of the Smash Brothers, and, you know, especially Melee, is crazy. So I cannot wait to see what details of this sort of circuit come to be. Hopefully it's good enough. Hopefully they take notes from other fighting game circuits, because I don't know how those operate either. But, you know, hopefully they take notes from them, and maybe they could adapt their own and maybe make it even better from what maybe Capcom has been doing or whatever. So yeah, very, very exciting for Smash Brothers fans and watchers of the esport.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out in the future for like Melee competitive especially. But next, we got Spider-Man. So we got, well, we're going to get more into Spider-Man later. But we got Marvel's Avengers. So Spider-Man finally came out. I think we talked about last time that, yes, he's still only a PlayStation exclusive character. Mm-hmm. And to show some gameplay of him. And he looked fine. I mean, he kind of looks like, you know, obviously he's going to look like a stiffer version of the Insomniac game from 2018. Because, you know, that's about what you expect. Because, you know, the engine wasn't built just for Spider-Man, so he can't be, like, as agile as he is. He kind of looks more like, I guess, like Shattered Dimensions, kind of. But a little more stiff than that, honestly. You know, he web swings. Like, you know, it's kind of like a mix of when he just kind of, like, web swings in the sky. And, like, he has some movement, but you can't really go that high. You know, he has some of the things you would expect, like a bunch of web-based attacks, and he's really, you know, he's agile and stuff. But yeah, it's about what you expect from a Marvel's Avengers style of Spider-Man, more beat-em-up style, not as agile as the Insomniac one. And it looks fine. Apparently, he's not getting like any real story content. Like he's just getting like, he's just getting like some little thing, like some little comic thing, and then that's about it. Like I think Hawkeye and Kate Bishop both got like pretty big things, like a whole big story. Especially Black Panther got like a whole expansion thing. Yeah, Spider-Man getting that one probably because he's an exclusive character, and they don't probably want the other players to feel too left out. And probably because they didn't want to devote that many resources into like one console's worth of content, you know what I mean? So yeah, honestly, I think no one wins here. Like even though PlayStation got Spider-Man, it's like at what cost? You know what I mean? It's like, oh, we got Spider-Man, but it's like you don't get anything else with him. Like you don't get any cool story stuff. You're not really gonna get that many interactions with Spider-Man. Like you just get him as a character, and at that point, I just don't think it's worth it. Like I think Sony, like probably should just let the other consoles had Spider-Man, so they could at least make some cool story content with it. Because you know, I was gonna play this game when Spider-Man came out, but after hearing like he's gonna have like basically no story content, I'm like, well, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like I don't even care anymore. So yeah, that kind of sucks for everyone, to be honest.
I mean, you know, when it comes to the gameplay itself, it's very hard to emulate what Insomniac did in your sort of, you know, game here with Avengers, you know, because Insomniac definitely set the bar when it comes to Spider-Man video games. Like whoever does Spider-Man video games after them they're gonna have a huge toll to sort of, you know, bring like sort of up the ante or even meet that ante that Insomniac did, because there's a lot going on for those games. But you know, for this Spider-Man, it looks fine. Obviously he is stiff, he is very much not moving as fast as you would like him to, but I feel like that's because of the limitations that Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, or whoever the devs are for this game, are, you know, faced with a game that is about, I guess, a sort of beat 'em up sort of game, but you also have Spider-Man in it, and you can't really have him move as fast compared to the other characters, and there's like a skybox, and he's always swinging from the sky and things like that. So I mean, you know, it is what it is. I think that most people that are excited to play Spider-Man in this game are probably still going to play it because they either own the game or they bought it during Black Friday this week, which the game is like $15 or something like that. So, you know, it's not that bad of a deal to, you know, actually go out and try this game and play it for yourself if you really wanted to play Spider-Man. But, you know, I think that okay, so the reason why I think that there's no like story content in it, other than the fact that you brought up the point of, they don't want other players to feel super left out. I think that like low key, like they were having a hard time developing Spider-Man as a character, and they were like, shit, we ran out of time. Like that's why it took so long for us to get the reveal of Spider-Man when they announced it like a year ago or whatever, that Spider-Man was going to be coming to Avengers only on PlayStation consoles, and we literally didn't see anything until like the last month, because in my theory, they were having a hard time sort of bringing the character into the game, have him move the way they want him to, having these like web physics, the skybox, everything like that, so like having to, I guess, like update the game around Spider-Man was probably like a very tall task for them to handle. And they were like, well, shit, they likely had a whole story thing planned for him, and that was probably within Sony's original deal. And then something fell through where they were like, yeah, Spider-Man in the game, like if we want him to move like this and actually play like Spider-Man, we're gonna have to cut this shit out. So obviously that's like a very like big theory that I have here, but they do have a lot of like super cool costumes for the character. I will say that. Like I think that a lot of the costumes for Spider-Man, are pretty dope. They have the noir suit. They have a sort of like Peter in college costume, which looks a lot better than the Insomniac costume, in my opinion. And some other suits that, I'm not too fond of, but hey, if you have Avengers and you have it on PlayStation, you have the liberty of now playing Spider-Man when it comes out November 30th. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think that the character looks as best as you can get for the Avengers game. And it sucks that there's no, new content to go along with them other than, a couple of little tiny things here and there, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they put that same effort into the costumes in the game. But, that's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
That's neither here or there.
Yeah.
But we'll move on from there. Harmonix has been acquired by Epic Games, and they are now working on Fortnite. So yeah, I mean, like, just by the headline alone, it's like, well, shit. But apparently they are still going to be working closely with the Harmonix team to develop, I guess, musical journeys for Fortnite, but also their existing titles, including Rock Band 4. So as a person that has played the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games growing up, Harmonix developed the first two Guitar Hero games, and then they moved on to Rock Band because I guess something happened or whatever within that story that I don't know personally. So then they started doing Rock Band, and they, I guess, sort of came back with Rock Band 4 a little more recently, but they've been supporting that game with more DLC songs and things like that. But Harmonix working on musical stuff for Fortnite, I think that makes sense because Harmonix are probably the best game developers to do that. And I'm sure Epic Games had a hard time developing, the Ariana Grande concert and like the Travis Scott concert in those games.
Talk about that.
Yeah. We're not going to talk about Travis Scott, but developing those concerts within those games was probably a difficult task for them. So I'm sure they have very ambitious plans for future musicians and celebrities to do their stuff in Fortnite. And they were like, well, shit, maybe we should just like buy Harmonix, fuck it, because they have that much money just from Fortnite, so them bringing them on to do this makes sense. It does suck that they are working much more on Fortnite now as opposed to their other titles, but I feel like Rock Band and like those games in general have been slowly dying out, so to have them, I guess, breathe new life within Epic Games kind of makes sense. It just sucks when a big company swallows a smaller company, but I'm sure the people at Harmonix are glad that they are still working.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's a good use of their talents and stuff because the Rock Band Guitar Hero phase is basically over. Like they tried to bring, I think, both of them back, but they both didn't do as well as they thought they would. I think obviously they're still fans of the series, and I wish it wasn't like totally dead, but it's definitely like a niche thing now. It's not as big as it was in the mid early 2000s when it was like a big thing. I guess 2010s, whatever. So I guess this makes more sense for the company to just move on from Rock Band. Obviously, they still have the Rock Band there that currently exists, and to like keep updating that one, which is probably the best route they could take at this point. And yeah, I guess it would be cool to see what they could do in Fortnite. Like I always thought, even though I don't really play Fortnite, I always really appreciate all the events they do. Like Epic definitely puts a lot of money into like all these concerts and in-game story events and crazy stuff like that. So it's cool to see like Harmonix be a part of that and really lead their way to like their other like sort of concert stuff. That's just it's just a really neat thing, especially like in COVID. Obviously, like now the pandemic is winding down. Hopefully, you know, we don't really need these as much, but it was still a really cool thing when it did happen in 2020, and I'm sure Epic could still make some really cool stuff in Fortnite with them. So yeah, a pretty good use of their talent. I know some people are sad that they're kind of relegated to just making like in-game events now, but you know, whatever keeps them afloat, you know.
Yeah, I think that, you know, this is probably a nice, I guess, transition for them because they're still doing musical stuff. It's just within the biggest game on the planet right now, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and it still is, you know, I know some people say, oh, Fortnite's dying and stuff, but yeah, it's kind of just equalizing now, you know? Like, it's just, I mean, the same thing that happens with, like, League and Dota. Like, you know, remember when MOBAs were the giant thing, like, ever, like, nothing could touch them, and then people, like, you know, people didn't talk to them about them as much, and, like, oh, they're dead. They're not dead, it's just kind of equalizing popularity, and the same thing's happening with Fortnite now, so, yeah, they're not going away. So, all right, so now we got a lot of news here, some more stuff about Activision Blizzard, and this time is about CEO Bobby Kotick. So he's finally getting, you know, his shit deserved. So, like, I mean, anyone that, you know, knows about gaming or Activision knows this guy kind of sucks to begin with. But I don't think it was really proven that he was a part of all of the awfulness that was happening, like, earlier this year or last year. I forgot when all this stuff came about with the allegations and stuff within Activision Blizzard. Obviously, we covered that in a previous episode. But this one is more focused on his own behaviors and stuff in the company. And basically, he's just a piece of shit, too. So
yeah.
There's some stories here with, like, a flight attendant, you know, with in a private jet. You know, it was some sexual allegations there as well. And he kind of just covered it up and stuff. A bunch of other stuff. He threatened, like, some employee in voicemail saying he was going to kill her or have her killed. Just a lot of really damning stuff in here. And this kind of just led to, you know, people just seeing Activision as just corrupted from all the way top. Like, it wasn't just, like, a few bad eggs in the bottom, because it usually, like, never is. Like, usually when you see, like, this sort of, like, corruption or things like that, it's usually from the top, right? Like, how are you gonna have, like, good people at the top if everyone, like, in the bottom is bad? Like, nah, it's just, it goes all the way up, and that kind of just applies to Activision Blizzard as well. And again, we kind of, like, if you already know all the stuff Bobby Kotick did, just being kind of like a shitty CEO, this shouldn't surprise too many people to begin with. I'm sure people will try to find this stuff out about him when all these other allegations happened during, you know, the first initial wave of this. So it's good to see that people actually, like, step forward and gave their accounts of this guy, like, doing all these awful things, because, you know, that he deserves it, like, 100%. And with this, you know, we see other companies start to come forward saying they just don't want to do business with, you know, with Activision and stuff. And like, he said he was like, oh, I'm going to quit if he can't fix the company's culture, but, you know, that doesn't really work out too well if he's, like, sort of the one doing it as well.
Yeah,
it's honestly surprising that Activision just didn't, like, fire him from, like, the start. Like, I guess they're just trying to protect their own people at this point, but I feel like he was just making a bigger mess than, like, trying to fix it up, you know what I mean? Like, he was just covering things up, not really fixing it, as you would expect, because why would he? So yeah, it was kind of just like a whole thing about how he's basically, like, one of the major problems. Obviously, all the people down are also, like, part of the issue. I'm not trying to excuse their behavior all on him, because, you know, they also, like, deserve, you know, their own sort of, like trials and stuff. But yes, you know, Bobby Kotick kind of set the precedent, and that kind of, like, set the whole company to just be this, like, awful dumpster fire.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not surprised. I think with everything that's been going on surrounding Activision Blizzard, having a story about their CEO doing all this shit too, I'm like, all right, yeah. I mean, you know, I didn't think it was big news, to be honest, but it is big news in the grand scheme of things, because, like, this is one of the biggest video game publishers on the market still, you know, Activision, Blizzard, you know, whichever games you want to draw from them, whether it be Call of Duty or Overwatch, etc. You know, like, they are a huge player within the gaming industry. So Activision Blizzard having their CEO be the fucking, you know, piece of shit that he is, you know, be the person that is also responsible for the sexual harassment, the misogyny, etc., you know, being a garbage human being at the end of the day. And, you know, him literally threatening people on voicemail to be killed. I'm not sure if that's, you know, someone that you want to lead a company at all, no matter how big or small. You know, having leadership, you know, having someone in a position of leadership be as I guess, not morally right is not a good thing, obviously. Taking on leadership definitely takes a certain skill and a certain person. And, when you are someone that is someone that is just not all there mentally, I think. Like, this guy definitely said, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to kill you, all this other shit. 2 people. Like, that is fucking crazy. When the Wall Street Journal pretty much just like blew up this story, having evidence about his harassment and abuse behavior, Activision Blizzard, should have just fired him. Bobby Kotick should have just quit. And the fact that he's still trying to stay on and he will quit, quote unquote, if he, resolves this with speed, that's just not going to happen. Like, people aren't going to support this company until you leave, bro. Like, no one's going to fucking support Activision Blizzard until you leave, in my opinion, obviously. It's been a while since I bought a Activision game. I think the last one was Crash Bandicoot 4, but that's just because I wanted to buy Crash Bandicoot and not fucking Activision, the last, I guess, Activision Blizzard title would have been Overwatch for me personally, but, I know that there's a lot of people out there that, have bought Activision Blizzard games throughout the years more often than I have, and I wonder what they're thinking right now, especially Damian, because Damian's a huge Blizzard fan, but,
Look, man. Yeah, I mean, they definitely made it easier by their games not being as good over the years, or not existing at all in terms of, like, things like StarCraft, but, it definitely still, like, hurts, especially because I love Blizzard before, but like over the years, lately, like, I mean, their quality has just been going down to begin with. Like, a lot of people, even though I never played WoW too much, I only played a little bit of it, people are jumping ship to Final Fantasy 14, one because the devs are better and they communicate better, but also just the quality of, like, the expansions just keep going down and down. Hearthstone just got more greedy. StarCraft just doesn't exist. Same thing with Diablo. So, like, they made it pretty easy to really, like, kind of push us away, but this kind of just pushes us further away. Like, now, obviously I was going to try Overwatch 2 when it came out, but now, like, seeing all this, I'm like, damn, man, like, if Bobby Kotick isn't, like, gone by, like, the next year, then, like, I don't know what they're doing. Like, that means Activision Blizzard's, like, straight up just gone.
Yeah.
So, it definitely makes, like, the boycotting of them, like, easier when their product quality has gone down dramatically over the last few years, and this is just kind of the final nail in the coffin for me, like, just to not really, like, give a shit about Activision, which I never really did, or Blizzard, which hurts, but again, like, they haven't been making that many stuff to begin with. And yeah, I guess we could go into basically every major like company just shaming them. So I think Sony was the first one to do it, where they were just like, hey, yo, don't do that.
What the fuck are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, so Jim Ryan was just straight up like hold on, let me see what he said here. Yeah, it basically said, like, they had, like, deep-seated culture of discrimination, harassment, and they just haven't done enough to address that. And he's, obviously definitely right. And them just not wanting to, like, put their games, like, in the forefront and maybe, like, E3 or something, like, that would definitely hurt them a lot. Like, I mean, honestly, I didn't even see people talking about Call of Duty Vanguard that much to begin with. So, like, I feel like, they're probably doing a good job. So,
yeah. I mean, when it comes to PlayStation in particular, like, within the recent years of Call of Duty, they've been the ones to have, like, the partnership and the sponsorship, because because I believe the Call of Duty League plays on PlayStations. So, like, that relationship with them, they're probably, like, questioning that, because straight up Phil Spencer said that, like, we are gonna look into our relationship with them at all aspects, and making ongoing proactive adjustments as a result, and, like, that's crazy, because this is Microsoft we're talking about here. They are definitely within the top 2, I guess, gaming consoles. I mean, Nintendo's there, obviously. You can argue that they are number 1, but I feel like that they're number 3 within the grand scheme of, like, the gaming market, because video games are much more targeted towards, like, teenagers and young adults. Nintendo definitely targets towards the kids, and I'm not saying Nintendo is only for kids, but that is just their targeted demographic. And there are still people like us within our 20s and people even younger or older still playing Nintendo exclusively. But most people that game today, there's a reason why you can't find Xboxes and PlayStations on the store shelves, not just because of COVID and the limited production, but because literally everyone wants one, whether one or the other or both, so. But Microsoft being like, yeah, we're gonna see what we're gonna do about Activision Blizzard from now on, and That's going to be crazy because I feel like that this company, if literally no one's going to work with you, the company's just going to die. So like, where are you going to put your games on, you know? So they're probably, if literally all of these companies decide to like not work with them, including Nintendo, you know, like they have no console demographic then. You know, they could only work on their Blizzard app or the Battle.net. Yeah, and that's about it. And you're not reaching a whole lot compared to when you were with PC and console, you know? So, yeah, and...
Yeah.
Go on.
I was just going to say, like, most of their, like, player, like, sound like Call of Duty. Like, most people play on console. So that would definitely hurt them, like, a lot if, like, they won't be able to do it. Like, they're probably, like, these companies probably aren't going to go that drastic with them. They probably just won't show, like, advertising space or, like, kind of, like... I guess like shadow ban them in a way, like it's like my best. Like they're probably because you know it's still business, and Activision makes all these companies a lot of money at the end of the day. So like they're probably still going to be on the storefronts, but yeah, they probably aren't going to show them at like E3 or any other gaming event because of all this, which is great. You know, I think that's a good step. Obviously, it would be better to just straight up ban them. But I don't know if that's going to happen. You know, I think Sony only done that once, and that was with Cyberpunk, and that was because that game literally didn't work. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these companies really, you know, put their money where their mouth is, you know what I mean? So, you know, I would give Sony and Microsoft a lot of credit if they just straight up just, like, no more Activision games. But I don't know if that's actually going to happen. But hopefully this does put pressure on Activision to really look at their leadership and just literally fire everyone. Like I feel like everything is just corrupted, and they really just have to like just start over, like burn it all down, build it back up. Because I feel like there's no other way you could do this at this point. Obviously, like there's good people there always is, but like there's just so much like bad in there that they're gonna have to like just like cut off all the heads from the top at this point. So
yeah,
like 'cause, you know, I want Blizzard to be good again. Like, I don't really care about the Activision side of things, but I do want Blizzard to be good again because it is a company I really enjoy the games in the past, and I want to continue doing that. But you know, I can't support a company like this. Not like this, man. So.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. The future of Activision Blizzard is going to be very interesting just because, like you said, I feel like the best way to do it is to just fire everyone and then just have everyone reapply. If they want to. Obviously, there's some people that you have to straight up fire and just like not, you know, bring back like Bobby Kotick and maybe some other leaders that, you know, haven't been in the spotlight as much as him. But, you know, just have everyone from the top fired, fuck them. And then, you know, to the people on the lower end of things, you know, have them all reapply and then see if, you know, they are still eligible to, you know, continue working at Activision Blizzard because this company's straight up fucked. Like, there's literally no other way to put it because, like, it's just been so bad over, like, the past couple of years, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah, it is sad, but like I said, the only thing we can really do is just... hope they get better, fire everyone, especially Bobby Kotick. Like, he should just quit at this point. And we could just move on from this. And hopefully the gaming, like, industry just gets better as a result, you know?
All right, so we'll get into our recent activities. I will actually go first because I got things really, really quick. It's literally just all anime and manga. So, Komi anime, I haven't watched the newest episode of it, but I can already tell you that it's going to be a banger. I don't care. You know... If you guys don't know what Komi Can't Communicate is, it's about this girl named Komi. She has a social anxiety disorder, and she has a hard time talking to people. That doesn't mean she doesn't want to form friendships and things like that. So you have this character, Tano, and he comes in and he starts to befriend her and helps her make friends. And you meet all of these interesting and different characters. And as a person that has read the manga and is now watching this anime adaptation, it is so goddamn good. The animation, the music, the voice acting, everything like that, it is just so good. There are literally some scenes that are like one-to-one recreations of the manga, which is like mind-blowing and like also really, really dope. So I've been enjoying that. And then I read some manga. These are both LGBTQ manga. So I'll start with this one. My summer review, this is sort of like not a one-shot, but like when I got it, it's in one book. It's like an omnibus sort of thing, and it's literally the entire story. It's all right. It's pretty much about these two guys, and one of them likes the other one, and then the other one, you know, starts falling in love with each other, things like that. And yeah, it's interesting. Just because, like, I believe that there is a sequel story to this, but I feel like the story itself could have been a couple more chapters long, because by the end of it, I was like, oh, okay, like that's it. Like I felt like that there could have been a little bit more. But it's good. I think that to anyone that is interested in romance, slice of life manga and wants to get into one that is LGBTQ friendly, I think that this one handles that subject relatively well. As a person that is a cis male, my opinion may not mean as strongly as someone that is LGBTQ, but I think that this manga, My Summer Review, does a pretty good job of it. Another one is Our Dreams at Dusk. I've only read volume 1, and it's pretty much about this teenage boy who is always teased that like he's gay and things like that. So like he doesn't know if like he's actually gay, and then like he goes to like this place to like talk to other people about it, where like I'm not exactly sure what to call it, because they do have a name for it in the manga, but I forgot what it's called because it's been like a week since I read it. But it's pretty much like just this place where like people hang out and just like chill and talk or whatever. So he's trying to discover his sexuality, and like the way the manga and the story handles that is very delicate and very much like very much taken with care, because there are other characters that are also LGBTQ. So seeing their story and how that can relate to him and everything like that, I think that this story can be very, very good by the end of it. And it's only 4 volumes long, so it's not even that long. I just have to buy the other volumes, and when I get to it, I'm sure that I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. So, but that's pretty much everything I've been doing. And now we got Damian.
Yeah, I do. I got a lot of games came out. So luckily, Endwalker got delayed. So I was able to actually like play these 2 games that I actually kind of wanted to play. So I'm kind of thankful for the delay. So first is Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. So this is a remake of Gen 4, specifically Diamond and Pearl, not Platinum. So, and they advertise this as being a faithful remake to Diamond and Pearl. And yeah, that's about right. They don't really do a lot to change really anything, which is kind of disappointing because, all the other remakes they've done, Fire Red Leaf Green, Heart Gold Soul Silver, and Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, they've done enough to like make them feel different enough, like to feel like new, but still nostalgic. And don't get me, like I'm very nostalgic for Gen 3 and 4. Like those are like my 2 when I was like huge Pokemon fan. Like, obviously I still am, but that was when I was like a huge Pokemon fan. So like I have a lot of nostalgia for Diamond and Pearl, and it hits in the nostalgia spots, I'm not gonna lie, but it very much feels like lazy. Like it's definitely like the weakest remake they've done, and that's because it actually isn't made by Game Freak. It's made by the people who made like Pokemon Home or something. And it definitely shows as this is like their first actual game they have made. I've seen on the Reddit that there's been a ton of bugs in this game. I'm lucky to have not encountered any, but it's been like a lot of soft locks, a lot of like hard locks. Like the game was just freeze and stuff. Like you could tell it's like this was definitely their first game they actually made. But besides that, I mean, it's still fun. I mean, I'm liking it because it's Gen 4 and I just like Pokemon in general, rather than it being like a remake. Like I felt like the other games I could appreciate, like especially Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I appreciate that game for being a remake and not, obviously still followed like the main like Ruby and Sapphire stuff pretty to a T, but it was enough in there to like make it feel different. And the reason I feel that way is because Gen 4 already had the core Pokemon already like pretty down. This was the generation that introduced the physical special split, and that's basically how like core Pokemon is from then on out. Like the only thing it's really missing that the remake adds is fairy types, and obviously updated abilities and moves and stuff. But for the most part, I was just missing fairy types as like a core mechanic, which is good. Like fairy type is a good type and stuff, and like pretty important to like how Pokemon is now. But I feel like it wasn't as important as when Gen 3 added abilities, or when Gen 4 again added the physical special split, which is like the biggest like thing. Like I can't play any Pokemon game past or before Gen 4 at this point because it's just so awkward to play without it. So I feel like Gen 4 again, I already had that core mechanic to it, so I didn't really feel like it really needed a remake. Plus, I think the game still looks great. This game, is kind of like a toss-up whether you like the chibis or not, and I think at some points it looks okay, but most of the time it kind of doesn't. Like it's weird. There's a lot of zoom up to like the chibi face, and like the run of the eye resolution is like way lower than what on the other eye. It's really weird. Like, there's a lot of weird graphical quirks to it. Like there's some flickering too, like on the ground. Like it's pretty weird. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, I'm liking it because, again, it is, like, Diamond and Pearl, and I love Diamond and Pearl. I really love the classic, like, route designs where it was, like, routes were really long with a bunch of trainer battles. There's actually, like, caves and dungeons that the newer games don't really do anymore. So it is really nice to get that sort of old-school Pokemon gameplay again, which, the newer games don't really do too much anymore. But yeah, I guess the newer things they did add was the Sinnoh Underground. So this was a thing in the original game where you could go to the underground part of Sinnoh anytime you want by just like clicking on a key item. And you would go down there and sort of mine like material to get like money and like fossils and stuff. And it was fun. I played the shit out of that when I was a kid. But it wasn't like that much to do in the original game. In this game, it basically works the same way, except now you have like these giant Pokemon hideaways or whatever, and you can capture Pokemon that are not in the Sinnoh deck. So for one, you can actually get other fire types, because in the original Diamond and Pearl, there's only Infernape and Ponyta, and that's it. That's the only fire types you get in the whole game. So it's nice to get like other fire types like Houndoom and Magby and stuff. And you get a bunch of other like rare Pokemon like Gardevoir you can actually get in this gen now because of this. So that's a really cool mechanic. I think they changed how contests work too, where it's like more of a rhythm game now. I only tried it once and it seemed okay. It seems a lot less thought out than the other Pokemon contests, how they used to be, but whatever. I never really did those to begin with. And they added some new things towards the end, how they changed like getting legendaries and stuff. But again, I haven't experienced the post game yet, so I can't really talk about that yet. But for the most part, it's a pretty good remake. I feel like if you've never played Diamond and Pearl, this is probably like, I guess, the best way to try it out. I still think Platinum is probably better, but Platinum is also a lot of money. And if you don't want to emulate it, then yeah, just get this game. Or if you're just like super nostalgic for Gen 4. But I feel like if you have played Gen 4 recently, especially Platinum, I feel like there's no reason to really play it. Like, just play Platinum instead. But yeah, I do enjoy the nostalgia trip, but I'm gonna hold out more judgment until I actually finish it. But right now, it's definitely the weakest remake, and it makes me sad because I love Gen 4 a lot, and it's kind of sad to see it like relegated as sort of like a side thing instead of like a major thing that Game Freak does whenever they remake a game. But what are you gonna do? On the other side, you got Shin Megami Tensei 5, and this is just like better Pokemon. So SMT 5 is basically like the father of the Persona series, and basically it's all the gameplay from Persona, but like kind of like cranked up a lot. So in Persona, you have like 4 party members, all human people, and the other 3 party members will have just one persona, right? Like they could be like an electric person, or like a fire person, or like a wind guy, and they're always going to be that. And your main character is able to change personas wherever they want. So that's where like the customization comes in. You have to like fuse different personas and get different ones and stuff. SMT is like that, but like on crack. Basically, everyone could be a different demon in this game. So you have your main character, which is super customizable. You can do whatever you want with him. You can make him whatever element you want him to be proficient at. You can make him physical, like whatever magic thing you want. Like you do whatever with him. And then you have the Pokemon aspect where you can have 3 other demons. So you have 4 party slots. 1 is you and 3 are demons. And these could be like whatever. You know, you can have like a bunch of different like demons at your party, all with different things they're good at. And it's very important to have like a good team of them, because you can have up to like a lot of people in your party, like as backup reserves, and you need that because the game really forces you to like mix up your team all the time. It's not like Pokemon where you can have like a set team all the time and just go through the game like that. Like you need to change demons constantly because boss fights are like hard as shit, and you have to make sure that you have like the right elements they're weak against, and you have to make sure you resist their elements that they're going to use on you, because this game uses the press turn mechanic. So you have 4 turns, right? Like each character gets their own turn. And you could get an extra turn if you hit a weakness, if you get a crit, if you pass your turn, or if you change a demon, you get an extra turn. So you have up to 8 actions per round, basically. But the flip side is the enemy can also do that on you. So if the enemy hits your weakness or gets a crit, they could go again. And if you miss an attack, you also lose a turn. So yeah, the game is very punishing if you don't know what you're doing. And I love it. Like I love that the game forces you to really like go into a fight, get your ass kicked, and like learn what they're weak against, how to build a party. Like most of your time is going to be spent around fusing demons that would counter that. Like the actual battle should go pretty smoothly if you know what you're doing. And I really like that. Like I never really thought that hard about the fusion aspects in Persona, besides, just get better personas with better stats. In this game, you really want to get demons that specialize in like either fire, physical, wind, healing. Like you want to make sure you have a specialized demon for each time you go into a boss, so you make sure like you're not getting your ass kicked or the enemy could get like other attacks in on you. Like it's fantastic. Like the gameplay is really good. And then they changed the whole aspect of, I guess, like the overall stuff. So that was just the battle mechanics. The actual overall stuff is also really good. It's basically like Xenoblade, how I could describe it. It's like a semi-open world where there's a bunch of things to collect, a bunch of treasure. You go through it, and it's sort of linear, but there's a lot to do in each area, which I like. I prefer to have a sort of like a smaller open world area with a bunch of things to do and see than having like a big empty open world with nothing to do. And I think this game like hits that, just like Xenoblade I think also hits that, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy the exploration, just jumping around, doing stuff. It's really fun. And yeah, I think gameplay wise they nailed everything about it, from the exploration to the battles. I think SMT V is fantastic. The place where I think it really falters is the story, which I just don't give a shit about. I think they don't do a good job really setting up any of the characters to like to just care about them, which I guess I'm just spoiled because Persona does such a good job making you care about every character, because you can spend so much time with them. You have all your social links. The game is just longer in general. This game doesn't really have that. It kind of just expects you to care about some characters, and then if something bad happens to them, it's like, oh, feel sad now. I'm like, I don't feel sad because I don't care. Like, it doesn't really give you an opportunity to really care about the story. There's just some cool themes and stuff in it, and like cool, like I guess I don't know how to describe it. They're just like cool set pieces and stuff. But for the most part, it is pretty forgettable. It's definitely the weakest part of the game is the story. But I think the gameplay and the exploration more than makes up for it. If you're like into like hardcore RPGs or like dungeon crawlers, I definitely think this is worth a shot. Mostly if you're a fan of Persona 5 like I was, or just Persona in general, I think it's a great like stepping stone into like the SMT world and how the series, I guess, got started. And I'm very interested to try the other SMT games now, because I'm loving this game a lot. It is fantastic. Next up is Halo Infinite. So this is the multiplayer part of Halo Infinite. The actual single player, which I'm probably not going to buy because, you know, I don't care. It's probably going to come out like December or something. I'll probably buy it at some point. I have to go through the Halo games again. But yeah, Infinite is fantastic. Like, the gameplay is really good. So I haven't played a Halo game since Reach. And I think, no, you probably played like 4 or something.
Yeah, I played 4.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't touched a Halo game since Reach. So I don't really know how 343 does things. I know people really don't like them in terms of how like they handle the Halo multiplayer and stuff. So I really have no like, I guess, comparison between Bungie or 343 besides this game. And I can say they nailed it. I think this game is fantastic. I think the gunplay and stuff feels really good. It's basically as much like just how I remember Halo being. You know, they changed some things from Reach, like armor abilities are now like just pickups you could get. So you have like overshield. Well, I guess not armor abilities as they were. Like you always have sprint now. Like overshield is like a pickup. You have the new grappling hook, which is amazing. I love that thing, where you can just grapple to anyone or anything. So if you have like an energy sword, you can like grapple onto someone and just do Attack on Titan, just like use your ODM gear and just go on them. It's great. But yeah, the gameplay is just Halo from what I remember. You just like shoot people. It's just fun, like just mindless fun. You have like a bunch of different game modes. You know, I love Slayer. Obviously, I think everyone likes Slayer. Oddball is pretty fun. I don't even know if this was a mode. You just pick up a ball and like you just like kind of like escort whoever's like with the ball, and then the other team wants it. It's like a lot of fun. Capture the flag. You know, you have a lot of different game modes and stuff. And yeah, I definitely think they nailed the core of Halo and how much fun it is, because I'm having so much fun. Like, I think this is what I miss from FPSs. Like, this is more my jam. Things like, I guess, arena based shooters, I guess, and you don't really see those as much anymore. That's why I love TF2 so much, because TF2 kind of acted the same way, and I guess I would have liked Quake if I ever played that. But Halo was always sort of that arena shooter sort of vibe, where you kind of just kill people and you have fun, you pick up weapons, it's great, right? You know, I'm not a big fan of tactical shooters like CSGO or Valorant or like Rainbow Six Siege, because it's just not my thing. This is definitely more my alley. But I guess the biggest complaint, and the only thing you will see if you go to the subreddit or Twitter or whatever, is the Battle Pass. Yeah, it's not great. It basically is a challenge-based battle pass where you just do challenges and you can rank up your battle pass. But it takes forever. It takes a very long time to upgrade it at all. And, you know, 3 for 3 is like, oh, don't worry, it never goes away or anything. But it just, I think someone calculated that it takes like 3 months of playing just to like get the whole thing. Oh my god. And like, we have 6 months to complete this battle pass because they delayed the second one because they wanted to make sure it was good or whatever. So that means the time is going to be shorter between battle passes, meaning like this thing would be impossible to finish in time. And yeah, it never goes away, but you will forever be like behind in battle passes, and it would be like impossible to catch up ever. So yeah, people are very upset about that. People are really upset. There's like this new event that's out where you get like, you know, like some cool looking samurai armor, but it's like a separate battle pass. And it really, there's 30 tiers to it, and you can only do 7 tiers per event week, and the event only lasts for a week, and then it goes away for like a month, and then you have to do it next month. So you have to do it like 4 times to get the full like event battle pass, And 303 promised there wouldn't be any FOMO, like fear of missing out on like events and stuff. But they clearly lied about that. If this is gonna go away, and you can only do like you can't grind it all in 1 week. Like you have to wait week by week. So if you're gone like a week, like you're gonna lose a lot of progress on this battle pass, and before it's like gone forever. So yeah, that stuff is really bad. Monetization is also insane. They're charging like $10 for colors and stuff. Like it's crazy. Like I think they really messed up the meta progression in this game a lot, and it's a shame too because I think the core gameplay is so fun. Like I love playing this game, and I don't think it's like a real deal breaker that all these meta stuff is broken because I don't care too much as long as the game is fun. But it's definitely like something that's worth complaining about, I think, and hopefully 303 fixes that because I don't want like a great game to be ruined by all this other things that really shouldn't matter in the end. But yeah, I guess we're going to have to just see how 303 just handles that in the future. But as a game itself, it's really fun. I definitely recommend it if you're a big Halo fan. Again, I wouldn't call myself a big Halo fan, but I definitely enjoyed the old 360 games, and it definitely hits that same spot. So yeah, hopefully they fix that meta progression so the game could be as good as it is. And
yeah.
The last thing I have... go ahead. Yeah.
Just one quick thing on the Battle Pass thing. I mean, obviously, I think Battle Passes are just a way for developers to, get you to play the game more, obviously, but at the same time, you're paying for it, right? Yeah. So the way that they have it laid out, just from what you've been telling me, it just seems like very grindy, and I feel like a lot of people are past that point in gaming where like they don't want to grind that much. Like they kind of like, because everyone's a fucking adult, right? Like we all got our lives to do. Like we don't want to be grinding a game for 3 months straight just to get this battle pass done that we paid for, that we could get the full value from. So hopefully 343 will fix that issue. But other than that, I've heard that a lot of people have been having fun with the Halo multiplayer. So
yeah, and that's a whole separate topic with Battle Pass. I actually think Battle Passes, for the most part, are like kind of cool for like multiplayer games like this. Like I think when Fortnite first introduced it, I'm like, oh, this is cool. It's like a way to sort of feel like you're progressing as a more casual player without like ranking up, right? Because I don't really play rank anymore. I just don't really have that much fun with it. It's just like it's just too stressful, and I don't have time to really get better at things like that. So I think battle passes are a cool casual way to get something cool while still playing the game. Like, I think it's a neat system, but it's just been kind of ruined by people monetizing it or people like making it super grindy so you want to spend money to upgrade your battle pass and stuff. Like I think that's how it got ruined, but I think it has a place. It's just like companies got to figure out the right middle ground for them to make money off it and for players to not feel like it's too grindy. But yeah, that's just like that. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, my last thing, Hextech Mania. So this was, well, I guess it came out the same day as Rearing King. Is one like the first two of the League of Legends story things, like their Riot Forge games. And basically, this is made by the Bit Trip Runner people, and it's basically Bit Trip Runner but with Ziggs. It's actually like pretty fun. So if you don't know how Bit Trip Runner works, it's basically like presents itself as like an auto runner where like commander videos just running around and you can like slide and jump and do other stuff to like the beat of the music. And basically this game basically works the same way. You can either jump, do like a ground pound, or throw a bomb, and the game will tell you the notes to like press, and Ziggs would do just that, and it basically plays like a platforming level. But the cool thing about this game is there's a lot of things that it doesn't tell you. So it shows the prompts, and if you follow all the prompts, the best rank you get is platinum. And yeah, it does it like the league ranks, like it goes up to challenger. That's pretty cute. But yeah, so yeah, basically what you actually want to listen to the music, and like if you hit like your bombs in a certain place or do some other action, you basically make like a new song in it, and they just call it like Mayhem. Like you just go crazy and just like, it's yeah. So
it's like Parappa the Rapper.
Yeah, you know what it is, like Parappa. Yeah, when Parappa like and you're like freestyle or whatever. Yeah, it's basically that. So to get like challenger rank, you have to do it like that, and I think that's super cool. I'm bad at it because I'm just bad at rhythm games in general and have no rhythm. But it's a really cool mechanic, and I've tried. I got like a diamond in one rank, and that's pretty cool in one level. So yeah, it is a pretty neat like addition. Obviously, it's not like a new thing. Yeah, Parappa did it. I was trying to figure out what game did it. I'm like, yeah, a game definitely did something like this. So yeah, I definitely think that's a cool thing. And yeah, basically just a bunch of songs and levels to go through. There's some boss fights, I think, as well. It seems there's like a bunch of content, a bunch of costumes you can unlock and stuff. So yeah, they definitely put a lot of effort into this game. I think the number one complaint I've seen on Steam is that you can't rebind controls, which seems like a big issue for a lot of people.
Yeah.
I think the game controls well on a controller. But yeah, on mouse and keyboard and stuff, I heard it's just really awkward. So hopefully the devs like add a way to customize controls. I think the game is really fun, and it actually looks pretty good on PC. Like on Switch, I think it looks like shit, but like on PC, which is what I'm playing on, I actually think the game looks pretty nice. I really like the cutscenes too. It makes me want like a cartoon with Ziggs at this point. It's like really nice. You know, I like Ziggs as a character a lot. He was my favorite champion, so I kind of felt obligated to buy it. But no, the game is really fun, and I definitely need to look more or play more into it after, you know, I've been just playing a lot of RPGs and stuff. It's crazy, but and you know, Ruined King is also something I really want to play. But again, just too many RPGs. I don't have time for another turn-based RPG right now, so I'm gonna hold off on it for a little bit. But I'm definitely excited to try Ruined King because I heard really good things about it. So yeah, that's my overly long things I've been playing. There's a lot of things. So yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, so more League of Legends. Arcane Season 1. So we're going to talk about full spoilers for the entire season, Act 1, 2, 3. So, yeah, I mean, overall, I think that Arcane, for what it is as a show about League of Legends and the lore and the story behind Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn, Jace, Heimerdinger, etc., you know, sort of Piltover and the Underworld and Zaun and everything like that. You know, as a person that has played League a lot, more than an average person should. Yeah. I think that this show is very good. And to even people that don't know anything about League, I hear that they're also enjoying the show a ton. And, you know, just seeing it from beginning to end, you know, the ending itself, you know, we don't get like a solid conclusion onto like Jinx and Vi's story, just because, like, you know, that's just how their story is. There's a lot more going on there than what we've seen from season 1, and you can kind of see where it's going now after the finale, where Jinx literally blows up you know, the entire, I guess, council. Yeah. So I saw some memes where it was like she got a hexakill, and I was
hexakill. Yeah.
I was like, oh no, guys. But yeah, I mean, overall, you know, it's got fantastic animation. The storyline, like, it was definitely like really well thought out. I think Soko, like, as a villain, like, he was pretty good. I think that them killing him off at the end made sense for his character. I feel like that, you know, from the beginning where, like, he was, you know, I guess brothers with Vander in a sense, to how he tragically ended in a way, you know, makes sense. And then obviously Jinx, Vi, Caitlyn, Jace, like, all 4 of those characters, that's sort of like the main show, especially with Vi and Jinx, because I feel like that's sort of the heart of the show, seeing their sort of siblingly love sort of, you know, get tested and sort of ripped apart in certain aspects. But yeah, I mean, I just love seeing those characters and their stories play out, seeing their personalities on screen. I think that was like a huge thing, and I think that it nailed all of that perfectly. And even with the sort of like sidelines or side storylines with like Jace and Victor and all of them, you know, those are pretty interesting as well. But what do you think, Damian?
Yeah, I loved it. Like, I thought it was a fantastic show. Again, you know, love that they kept it more familiar, like, champions. Like, maybe if people, like, were into League, because, you know, League was, like I was saying before, League was really popular during the early 2010s, and, you know, I'm sure a lot of people dropped off around the time I did, where it wasn't as big anymore. So, you know, I think there's a lot of familiar characters that people would, like, know or have. And even if you didn't play League, like, my brother knew who Jinx was. Like, everyone knows who Jinx is, right? He's everywhere. So it's cool to see them pick, like, more familiar champions and, you know, more relatable story. Like, again, I'm really happy they went for Piltover and Zaun and, like, just Jinx and Vi's, like, whole relationship, because, you know, it's like a relatable thing. People could relate to that, like, maybe like a sisterly, like, bond thing, and just like the father and daughter stuff with Soko and Jinx, or Vander and Vi and stuff. Like, I think, you know, like you said, I was like the heart of the show and what really kept it going. But I also love all the world building. So, like, I didn't expect this much world building to be in this show, almost a game in this show. And I really loved that. I really liked how they went to the whole origin with Hextech, and, you know, now to bring in Noxus into the mix and stuff. Like, I think they're doing a great job in slowly building up, like, into a bigger world instead of just pushing everything right from the start. Like, it was really cool to see, again, like, the ties to Noxus and how they're going to play into season 2 probably, and then they could just expand from there, right? They bring, like, Demacia and Ionia, whatever the hell they want to do now, and it will feel natural. It won't feel like, oh, this just came out of nowhere, you know? Like, I think Riot's really doing a good job slowly expanding this show into something more. And again, just having it be a more grounded story also helped a lot to, like, springboard into something bigger. And, you know, like I said, like you said, the animation I think was fantastic, like, especially some of the fight scenes near the end. I loved the Jinx and Echo fight. Oh my lord, that shit was amazing.
That was some good shit.
Same thing with Vi and Jace, when Jace like killed that kid. You got some gold from it, it's fine. But yeah, that just whenever Vi was using her gauntlets and how they animated it was so good. Like I love that. So yeah, they nailed just everything about it. Even like the voice acting, I thought was really good. Like I thought, like, I love Vi's voice actor and Jinx's voice actor. I thought they did a fantastic job. And yeah, it was just great. And the fact that I could watch it, someone that's played League, for a while, you that plays League a lot, and my brother who's never played League, and we all enjoy it just as much, really shows that Riot really knew how to tell this story and to tell it to people that, it rewarded people that played League because what's going to happen, and you're like, oh shit, I can't wait to see what they do. And to people who never played League, and they could explain all of this in like in a streamlined way where it just makes sense. You know what I mean? Like, I think that takes a lot of work, and I think Arcane really did a good job at that.
Yeah, and I think that releasing it in acts definitely kept the conversation going, obviously, because for the past month, like, everyone's been talking about Arcane. Ever since Act 1 dropped, people are like, yo, Arcane's really fucking good. And, like, because people are on social media and are talking about it, you're going to get more eyes and more people getting to watch it, because I was definitely one of those people that was like, all right, fuck it. I guess I have to watch it now, not just for the show, but also because everyone's saying that it's so goddamn good. So I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll watch Act 1. Act 1 was phenomenal, seeing the very beginnings of Vi and Jinx and seeing them be in the sort of underworld, and also that conflict with Vi and Caitlyn, seeing them, come from two different places and having them to try to understand one another because they come from two different backgrounds. That was definitely something that, we've seen in other shows and other mediums, but how they handled it with these two characters in particular was very cool to see, because, Vi's like, yeah, you're a cupcake and like you come from like a rich family and shit like that, while she literally came from nothing and she literally had to fight her entire life to get what she wanted, so yeah. And going back to the fight scenes with seeing Jace, I guess, like, open up more as like a character and like a leader and straight up backstab Heimerdinger was a little funny, I'm gonna be honest. Straight up betray his mentor in a way, and then see Heimerdinger connect with Echo after that fight with Jinx, seeing those characters get together and how everything's going to come together in terms of like the League story, because I know what Echo's abilities are in the game, so I wonder on how that's going to play into with Heimerdinger, because I'm sure Heimerdinger is going to play a role into how he gets all of that stuff with going back in time and shit like that. So yeah, obviously, like, this show was definitely well crafted, very much well thought out, and yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything else I can really say on the top of my head, but is there anything else you want to add? I
just really like that. When I saw Silco, right, I'm like, oh, here comes the evil bad man. And look how evil he looks. But I think they did a good job making like no one really feel like the villain, which is pretty, like, we live in a society. No, but like we Silco was like, he just wanted the best for his city, for Zon, and like he wanted to make it his own nation and stuff, because he was tired of Piltover like pushing them around and stuff, and he really cared about Jinx in general. Obviously, like, he wasn't like a good person, like he kind of did manipulate Jinx to be like, oh, Vi hates you or whatever, or like Vi's dead and stuff, but he still cared about Jinx as like an actual father. Even towards the end, like, he wasn't gonna, like, because Jace was like, hey, I'll give you Zon if you like hand over Jinx, and you could tell he was never gonna do that. Like, he was like, I'm never gonna like sell you out just for your like my own nation and stuff. And I'm like, that was really nice, like, and I feel like even what's her face, Mel, right, like, even she wanted the best for Piltover, even though it looked like she was just manipulating Jace the whole time. Like, she did want the best for her city too. So I really do like how they make no one really feel like the villain, and it's just people looking out for their own interests and stuff. And that's a very realistic way to look at things, because I don't think most people in the world really want to be the villain. They just want to be the hero, but to some people that look like you're the villain. So I think the show did a great job doing that, while like making it like a like a huge, like, just did it well, you know what I mean? And just for all the characters in general too, like, there's just so much going on in the show. It's just hard to talk about because there's just so much. Like Victor, like, I thought all of Victor's stuff was amazing as well. Just seeing like how tragic his story is. It kind of reminds me of what's his face, Doc Ock, a little bit. Like, trying to make like his little son thing, and then he makes the hex core and then like kills the other lady and stuff, and like he's the poor man just slowly going downhill. Like, I love that. And yeah, just so many good character moments is where I really think the show really excels at, and just the world building and stuff. So yeah, overall, I thought the show was just fantastic. again, I highly recommend watching it. The act order was also amazing. Like just the way they like release 3 episodes in a week, I think was so good, and I hope more shows take from that as well. And yeah, just overall, it was just fantastic, and I can't wait for more. It looks like it's gonna be kind of a long wait though, because I think it's definitely not gonna be next year. So probably 2023 at the earliest, which is, as long as they keep up the quality, I really don't care. So yeah, I'm very excited to see more from the show.
Yeah, and Victor's storyline, it was obviously like the lesser part of the show, but even then it was definitely interesting because there was tragedy there was conflict there with him trying to, heal himself and actually keep himself alive, and that girl that tragically got caught in all of that shit was just
smoked, bro.
It was kind of funny, but tragic at the same time, because it's like shit, like she looked up to him and like she wanted to show him this project that she was working on, and the realization afterwards where Victor's like, fuck, what did I do? And Singed, oh my god, I didn't realize that was Singed until the subtitles came on.
Yeah, it was Singed, yeah.
I was like, wait, okay, so like this like Victor's backstory, who the hell is this guy? And then when he goes back to him, I was like, oh shit, that's Singed, what the fuck? So obviously as a League player, seeing them connect more characters from the universe into the show was obviously super duper dope. And yeah, and everything about this show with the Jinx and Vi dynamic and all of the other character relationships that I know with Caitlyn and Vi obviously becoming really good friends, and seeing that sort of friendship mold and form within the show.
Probably more than that in this show.
I'm not gonna put anything out there, but people are definitely shipping them on Twitter, which is more power to them.
Yeah, I support it.
I support it too. I'm not against it, but I'm not gonna assume anything yet, depending on what Riot wants to do, and I'm sure that they'll figure that out by season 2. But yeah, Arcane season 1 is just phenomenal.
Yeah, it was very, very good. Highly recommend it. I mean, if you're listening to this, you probably very well. But yeah, very good. I love every second of it.
All right, so Hawkeye episodes 1 and 2. So this was my most anticipated, MCU show out of the bunch, outside of Falcon and Winter Soldier, I would say. WandaVision was a nice surprise. It didn't stick the landing as much. Loki had no idea what I was getting into, and then it ended up being really, really good. We're going to talk about spoilers for the first 2 episodes, just by the way. So yeah, we get introduced to Kate Bishop, and, seeing her background and seeing her story, how Hawkeye, saved her in Avengers 1 is sort of tying that back in. That was actually spoiled because fucking Brown Table on Twitter, fucking Mauricio motherfucker. Nah, I'm playing. I love his videos. Brown Table, if he's happening to listen to this, I love your videos, bro, but you fucking spoiled that scene for me. But yeah, it's just seeing that play out and sort of like, oh, okay, so like that's where, she became such a big fan of Hawkeye, was because of the attack on New York City, which, the fucking MCU loves going back to that first movie because a lot has happened since that first movie. So, seeing her character and seeing on how skilled she is and how, she has some internal family conflict and, with her dad dying and everything like that, so yeah, I mean, I love Haley Steinfeld, obviously, if you didn't know. So seeing her take on this character and have her, it feels like that she has so much fun within this role. Just seeing her play out with Hawkeye himself, was very, very fun, and I cannot wait to see what else happens within future episodes. But what did you think about the first 2 episodes, Damian?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it a lot too. I think it was cool to see them. It's always, again, like, I always just like the more grounded approach, because, obviously I like the more crazy approaches to the MCU when it's like a movie and stuff, but I think when it's like a show, I always like it when they take a more grounded approach. And, I like the setting being in like Christmas and stuff, You can see Hawkeye is very like just sick of everything. He's like, I just want to be alone. But it's cool to see, the introduction of Kate Bishop. I think they did a good job as well introducing her, showing the aftermath, or, I guess what was happening in the Battle of New York and how it affects people. I know you said you always go back to it, but I think it's a pretty important point to go back to because it was such a major event. It's like, you can't just ignore like a whole alien invasion in New York and not like have a bunch of people affected by it. Same like the snap, I think it's cool whenever they go back to like how that affected people.
Thanos was right.
Yeah, Thanos was right. Yeah, written in like a urinal, that you would probably expect seeing that, But yeah, I think they did a cool job just sort of showing her upbringing, how she's involved in all of this, and how she just saw Hawkeye doing some cool shit. It's like, I want to do that too, and then she like dedicated her whole life into like just being like acrobatic and like shooting in arrows and stuff, like just to like be as good as he is. So yeah, I really like her character too. She's fun, very like what's the name? Like quirky.
Yeah, quirky, kitty.
Yeah, I guess the right. Yeah, but she's a fun character right now. I do like her dynamic with Hawkeye as well, because he's like the hardened veteran at this point, and he doesn't really care for the fame and stuff. He just he never really did. He was not the flashy Avenger. Like he always just wanted to be left alone to begin with. And Kate Bishop is like to him he is like the best hero there because of how much he influenced her. So it's cool to see that. So it reminds me of Incredibles, like Syndrome. Like she's not gonna turn evil or anything, but it's just like that first scene or something. I don't know. It just reminded me of that. But yeah, overall it's really good right now. I kind of like the whole like mystery of it too, and like this high since Kate Bishop is rich as hell. There's a lot of like weird like undercover stuff where rich people do, because that's what they do, like do weird stuff. So it's good to see all that going on too as well. So
yeah, and apparently by episode 5 we're supposed to see Kingpin, which like just by how these first 2 episodes have set up this story, I wonder on how he's gonna play into this, because I feel like a lot of it is gonna hinge on sort of Kate Bishop's family, like the fucking stepdad. Like something's going on there, like he's definitely sus.
Yeah, he's sus, but I feel they're gonna do a thing, but he's not evil and be like, oh,
yeah. The MCU's already done that with WandaVision, but
yeah, I feel they're gonna do that again. So
yeah, as long as they execute it right, I don't care. But yeah, the dynamic between Kate Bishop and Hawkeye is very much there, and it's very much like a buddy cop sort of thing. It's funny at times seeing how Hawkeye is just he's just trying to spend Christmas with his family, and then he sees the fucking Ronin costume. He's like, God fucking damn it.
Yeah, I'm glad they brought that back as well. Like, I feel like that was a thing that kind of came out of nowhere in like Endgame, right? It was Endgame when he was just going all crazy vigilante mode. So it's cool that they bring this back with like the Hawkeye. Because I feel that was a big arc we didn't really explore enough, because there was already so much going on during that time. So it's cool to see a more closer look, and like that was like sort of like a dark like thing for him to go through. So it's cool to see him, figure it out and have like a nice epilogue to that part of his character. So it's cool that they brought that back as well.
Yeah, him trying to get back the suit during the LARPing thing, which
yes,
that was funny, because he's like, "Fuck, I gotta like play by these rules," and he's like, "What the hell do I have to sign?" And he was like, "Name? Nah, I'm good. Email? Nah, I'm good." He's like, just let me sign the fucking paper so I can get this dumbass suit.
Just put a signature,
yeah, and just seeing him actually be like that family man. He does have multiple conversations with his wife and kids, and seeing all that stuff, and him actually have a hearing aid, and that played for jokes. It's like, why do you have the hearing aid? And then it just shows him like going through like a bunch of shit. I'm like, yeah, that'll probably
makes
do
it. Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense that he would need a hearing aid if he's hearing explosions and thrown through walls and stuff. Yeah.
So yeah, like you said, a very grounded show, and how he's sort of trying to fix all of this Ronin stuff while also maybe try to help Kate Bishop in a way, because obviously like right now, like we know by the end of the show, like they're gonna be like buddy by the end of it, him and Kate Bishop. But right now he's very much like, just get the fuck out of my way, kid. He doesn't care that like she's such a big fan and all of this other stuff, and that like she's a skilled archer, so much so that she destroyed that clock tower, which I didn't think was actually going to happen, but, they have to bring her back to New York City and quote unquote, I guess, be suspended from school for a period of time. So, but yeah, this show is just so much fun. And, the intro for episode 1 with it sort of like showcasing like Kate Bishop's years between that Avengers event to now, sort of like that intro scene, very much inspired by the Hawkeye comic that they are taking from Matt Fraction, which I believe, supposedly he's not getting any royalties for like how the show looks because of that, which is like kind of insane, because like,
yeah, that's weird.
It's literally the most iconic modern Hawkeye story, and the fact that they're adapting it so well, apparently. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't read it. I definitely want to read it at some point, but just seeing them sort of take that art style is cool. I'm gonna admit that, but definitely give credit to the artists and sort of pay them for their work, because that sort of art style for Hawkeye is definitely working here, and it definitely worked within the comic.
Yeah, I really did enjoy that like little intro, like showing her like how she was, she came to like be like in her like 20s and stuff. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, it seems like like Marvel is pretty bad with like paying the royalties in terms of like the original artists and stuff. Like I think it was very like controversial with like the Spider-Man stuff when we talk about that. So yeah, that always seems to be an unfortunate issue. Hopefully they could like just give the money, man. like you guys are rich anyway. Like just do it. But yeah, overall, I'm really liking the show. I'm very interested to see where like this is going. I love the like the tracksuit like mafia people. They're just so dumb.
They're so dumb and goofy.
I found it, bro.
Yeah, definitely. That MCU humor works here, in my opinion, because the show is so grounded and because the show is. It's just about, vigilantes and superheroes in New York City, which works a lot of the time, in my opinion. I think that Falcon and Winter Soldier took place in New York as well for a part of it. So, having that MCU humor works here for me, in my opinion, just because also Kate Bishop is so quirky and so funny and things like that. And, her bringing in that dog and her saving the dog, actually being like story relevant, because without her doing that, she wouldn't have ended up on the news, and, the dog itself, being, I guess, a key part within the story later on, maybe. I'm not entirely sure, but, Kate Bishop is definitely a 20-something-year-old living in New York above a pizza place joint where she feeds the dog pizza and the dog happily eats that. So
yeah, it's really I really like the dog too. I thought it was supposed to be like the other dog, like Cosmo in the MCU, but he's like, that's probably not him. But it's probably just some dog. But yeah, it's it's really good. I'm really enjoying it. Can't wait to see more of it. I want to see how this story like unravels, and if the Kingpin really does show up, that's gonna be like sick. So yeah,
it's especially for myself as a person that loved Daredevil on Netflix all 3 seasons, especially season 3 was very, very good. Hopefully something does come of it, because I know that there's a lot of rumors and speculation about how Disney and Marvel wants to bring in those Netflix shows into the MCU, because I think that especially Daredevil out of all of the Netflix shows definitely deserves to be a part of the MCU because of just how good the casting was, the story was, etc. But yeah, Hawkeye, I mean, just for what it is right now, it is very, very good, and I cannot wait to see. I believe there's only like 6 episodes or something like that. I'm not entirely sure. I think that this show is going to be a lot shorter than the other Disney Plus MCU shows, which is fine. I think that, for a Hawkeye story about him giving the mantle to Kate Bishop and seeing on how Haley Steinfeld's character is able to do that, I cannot wait to see on how this show plays out. So
yeah, I'm also very excited to see how it plays out, and hopefully it sticks to landing and we see some cool stuff for the future. And I just want a good like show, like that's all you can really ask for. Like, I love Loki, so hoping it kind of reaches that same point. So, but I guess we'll see.
All right, so the last part of the show, we're going to discuss the Spider-Man No Way Home second trailer. So, I'm going to be honest, Damian, the moment it was up, I think it was like less than a minute, I was there. I was there watching it on YouTube. But yeah, I think that this trailer did a very good job sort of emphasizing the fact that they are bringing in these multiverse villains for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and there is no sign of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, but there was a sort of thing. I'm not sure if you saw this on Twitter with the lizard getting punched by air or some shit.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like literally everyone saw that. I think that was in one of the international trailers. I think it was like Brazil or something like that. So people are like, "Oh shit, the fucking editor forgot to edit out Andrew or Tobey punching the lizard," which is probably true. I think that a lot of the I feel like we said previous episodes, if they're going to bring in these villains, they have to bring in the Spider-Man with them. But the trailer itself, I really enjoyed it. I think that them not showing Andrew and Tobey just makes it all the more worth it when we go in theaters, and hopefully, it is your first time seeing them on screen again in those suits, or just those actors in general, seeing them interact with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I think that this movie, it's obviously gonna do well. It's fucking Spider-Man. Like, no matter how good or bad a Spider-Man movie is, it's gonna do well financially. And the fact that this movie is bringing in older villains and potentially the other Spider-Man to go along with them, this movie is literally just going to pop off. But yeah, the second trailer was very, very good.
Yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I'm very happy, like we said in the last podcast, or I think it was the last one, that it didn't show Toby or Andrew. Like, I think that's like really good. Like, I want, like, again, everyone knows they're gonna be here, but I want to see it for myself. And I think that's always a really good moment. And I think at this point, it's like basically like it's obvious that the MCU is really good at like sort of like taking trailers and editing things out to make sure like it's still a surprise to you. And like Lizard Game Punch is obviously gonna be like either Toby or Andrew. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. And the trailer itself was just really cool. Like just seeing all these villains like that we know, like Electro, like Green Goblin, and like Doc Ock that we've already seen and stuff. Like it's gonna be some good shit. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
especially like I was just gonna say like the redesigns are really good too. Like Electro, looks way better than he did in Amazing Spider-Man 2, because Amazing Spider-Man 2 he looked like shit. I really like Green Goblin's new look. Like it did a good job retaining the Sam Raimi look, but still looking like modernized. I think they did a good job with that as well. And obviously Doc Ock still basically looks the same, which is nice because I think his character design didn't need any more touching up. And we didn't really get too good a review of Lizard or Sandman too much. So I can't really say for sure for those two, but right now it's looking great. Like they definitely put a lot of love into this, and I'm really excited to see this movie like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of like TV spots and other like extra footage here and there. Like literally people on Twitter are like two seconds of new footage, and it's like the most basic shit ever. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like people are definitely very fucking excited for this movie, and rightfully so. I mean, just seeing the villains on screen, with Sandman, Electro, and the Lizard all together, pretty much confirming their presence in the movie. That's very exciting. And, I kind of knew that like, fucking Andrew and Toby are going to be in this movie, because when Tom Holland Spider-Man jumps into those three villains that I just mentioned, no fucking shot he lives that by himself. No way. I know, right? Like, no way. Like, I mean, literally the previous villains that he was dealing with before, outside of like Thanos, he dealt with the Vulture, who's just a guy from New York City that got dealt wrong from Tony Stark, and I guess the government in some regard. And then same thing for Mysterio, who's just a guy that does CGI and special effects. Now someone brought this up that this is the first time Tom Holland Spider-Man is facing villains that actually have like superpowers. So seeing on how that'll play out is going to be very, very, very interesting. But yeah, like the trailer itself, like I said, it is just so much fun. And the fact that they were able to, hide certain aspects of the movie. The first shot with like Tom crying, people are speculating that someone's going to die, which I think someone will die. I'm not sure exactly who that is, whether that be Ned or MJ or Aunt May. We don't know yet, obviously. I don't think it's going to be MJ, just because I think that Zendaya has a scene with like, I think that this was like set photos with like him going to like a shop that like she worked at, and like it was snowing or whatever. So I'm sure that like that's like the last part of the movie or something like that. So Ned or Happy or Aunt May are probably gonna die. Yeah, probably gonna bite the dust. But I think that every single Spider-Man solo movie within the MCU, no one like major has died. Like even within Homecoming, I think that was literally the first MCU movie where no one died, I think, or something like that. So hopefully that this movie is able to deliver on Tom Holland actually becoming Spider-Man, because a lot of people are still oh my god, he's like Iron Boy Jr., this and that, and they're still going to go to theaters and watch this fucking movie like everyone else. But there's definitely a lot of hype and a lot of build-up, because Tom Holland Spider-Man hasn't really taken on his own in a way within like his own movie. And if they're able to do that within this movie on top of the multiverse shit that's going on here, I think that can be like very, very cool and very, very exciting. But obviously we're gonna have to wait and see until the full movie comes out. But seeing everything that the trailers and the extra footage that I've seen on Twitter, which I won't discuss in detail, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I that's actually a good point. Like, they probably are gonna make this movie sort of like Spider-Man coming to his own and being like a full-fledged Spider-Man, and like in this movie, and it probably is gonna be a speech with like Toby or Andrew being like, "This is what it takes to be a hero. Let's show you, kid," or whatever. Or something like that. They're probably gonna have some like deep like conversation, like all three of them, and like that's how kind of like Spider-Verse actually, like with Miles and stuff. Like they're probably gonna do the same thing with this movie, which is pretty cool. Like, I think that's a pretty interesting way to sort of make this Peter into like Spider-Man, like into like, you know, a full-fledged Spider-Man without any other Avengers help and stuff. So I think that'd be really interesting going forward. And I don't even know how they're going to continue Tom Holland Spider-Man after this. Like, is he still gonna get solo movies, or is he gonna be like more into like the Sony stuff with the, you know, with Venom and Blade and, you know, Morpheus or whatever, like, or Morbius? Like, you know, it's gonna be really interesting to see what happens in this movie. That's why I'm very interested. Like, I want to see what the future for Tom Holland Spider-Man really is gonna look like. But also, like, you know, again, this is like Endgame for like Spider-Man fans at this point. Yes. So I am very excited for this movie.
Yeah, and I mean, I believe there was a tweet or an article or something like that that pretty much said the reason why there's only 5 villains for this movie instead of like 6 for like the Sinister Six. You know, they're pulling from other movies because Sony wants to do their own Sinister Six movie with their own villains, with the Vulture, Venom, Morbius, etc. You know, so just to not like confuse audiences. So yeah. That makes sense. That's why all of these villains, there's only 5 of them, and they're all pulled from other Spider-Man movies that aren't Tom Holland's. So yeah, I'm very excited for this. And the shot with Zendaya falling, that definitely brought into my mind that like Andrew's gonna save her. Like, I think that a lot of people...
I won't mess up again, I promise.
I think a lot of people share that theory. And, you know, having Tom Holland Spider-Man jump after her is obviously a trailer thing, hopefully. Because if that shit happens in theaters, I'm going to fucking lose my mind, you know. And he actually, like, saves her and, like, you know, doesn't snap her neck. You know, because...
Yeah, second time's the charm, no?
You know... Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, you know, say what you will about those movies. They aren't the best. They aren't the best Spider-Man movies, in my opinion. But, you know, for the team that they got behind, the actors that were behind that project, they loved the character. They wanted those movies to work, but, you know, Sony kept pushing the button about, you know, you gotta romanticize Peter's parents and shit like that and whatever, you know, shoving too much into one movie, especially with the Amazing Spider-Man 2, where they try to set up the Sinister Six, and like MJ was also supposed to be a part of that movie, but that was cut out. So, you know, this movie, obviously No Way Home has a lot going on as is, but I think that it can work just because of the storyline that they propose, where like Peter doesn't want to kill these villains, but like they all die fighting Spider-Man, so that's sort of like their fate, and that's what needs to be done. So yeah, you know, you can't save everyone, as you know, something someone said about this trailer. But yeah, I mean, you know, there's not much else I could really say at the moment, but yeah, I'm just very, very excited for this movie.
Yeah, I mean, I basically said everything I had to. I'm just ready for the movies to come out, which is like really soon. You know, we gotta order our tickets and stuff, which is gonna be stressful because, you know,
yeah,
like, I feel like everyone's gonna try to do it.
I mean, so, like when it came to Endgame, I didn't have that much trouble getting tickets. I think I got it like the Thursday night. Because I'm sure like most movie theaters are gonna have literally every fucking theater showing this movie because they want to make that money. So tickets go on sale, as they call it, Spider Monday, November 29th. Apparently, AMC is gonna have it opened at 12:01 a.m. So I'm not sure how other theaters like Fandango or Regal or whatever other chains are gonna do it.
Regal, so I don't know.
Yeah, so I have no idea, but obviously, like, keep your eye out during midnight if you want to like secure those tickets, because I feel like this movie is going to be bigger than Endgame, to be honest, just because it's fucking Spider-Man. And
yeah, Spider-Man is such a big hero, yeah.
Yeah, and they're pulling from the other movies as well that are over, 10 years old at this point. You know, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man came out in 2002, so that movie's going to be 20 years old next year, right?
Damn.
So,
yeah.
Holy shit, yeah. I mean, you know, this movie is going to be big. It's going to be huge, and I'm very excited to watch it, but... Yeah, you know, this second trailer was good enough to, you know, keep the hype going. It didn't show too much, but it showed just enough to, you know, keep people enticed and keep people engaged. So, if they weren't engaged enough as is, you know.
Yeah, I'm already engaged, bro. I'm ready.
But is there anything else you'd like to add, good sir?
No, I think that's everything.
All right, so thank you guys for listening to the Travis and Damian podcast, episode 75. We will see you guys 2 weeks from now with another episode.
Laters.